Welcome back to Key Essentials of Investment Rules, Sustainable Development, and the Law. We are very, very fortunate here in the beautiful gardens of Clare College, Cambridge, to be joined by a lecturer who's traveled all the way from Hong Kong to speak to us about investment law and sustainable development. And she's kindly agreed to also answer a few questions from our colleagues and students on these issues. So I think we have a couple of questions that we have for you, and we very much appreciate the work that you've done in your articles and your publications on these issues, and look forward to hearing your thoughts.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
You're very welcome. Who would like to start with a question?
Okay, I will start with a question. Hello, everybody. So my first question for Professor Zhu is that how does investment interplay with climate and environmental issues?
So the interaction between investment treaties and climate change issues can be twofold. So on the one hand, investment treaties can be used by foreign investors to challenge the climate action by host countries. So there are a bunch of cases, including some recent cases brought by RWE versus Netherlands and Uniper versus Netherlands. These cases concern Netherlands coal phase-out regulation, and foreign investors argue that those legislations violated the investment treaty obligations signed by Netherlands. And both cases are based on Energy Charter Treaty. Another side of the story is that the host countries can also be held responsible for their withdrawal of support policies for the renewable energy sector. So there are cases against Spain and Italy and other countries for their withdrawal of renewable energy encouragement policies. And another side of the story might be that the state can also be held responsible for their environmental inaction. So there is a case between Ireland versus Barbados. In this case, Barbados' environmental lack of environmental regulation has resulted in foreign investment dispute, and foreign investor Ireland claimed that this lack of environmental action is in violation of the treaty obligations under Canada-Barbados bilateral investment treaty.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good answer. Thank you. Do we have a second question?
Yes, I have a second question. So, many developing countries are very skeptical about the entire system of investment law.
Yeah.
Can you explain the reasons?
So one reason is that actually when we think of the investment treaties, even though they are drafted in a reciprocal way, actually they only protect foreign investment. So it is kind of a one-sided protection to foreign investments. And actually developing countries are mainly acting as a role of capital importing country rather than capital exporting countries. And for many recent cases, the state's public interest regulation has been claimed by foreign investors as a violation of investment treaty obligations. So many developing countries are claiming that their public interests have been damaged by investment treaty obligations. Another problem might be about the practice. So actually, for arbitrators and lawyers, there's lack of diversity. Many of them are from developed countries rather than developing countries. So capacity building in investment law is also a big problem for developing countries.
That's brilliant. And do you think that international investment law, the international investment law system, can accommodate social and environmental goals as well as economic ones?
Yeah. So That is one important issue currently considered by the reformers of international investment law. And there are many existing reform approaches. So if you look at recently signed investment treaties, the new generation investment treaties, many of them have included exceptions clauses to exempt states from being held responsible under those investment treaties because of their environmental regulation or other types of public interest regulation. And some of them have also clarified the standards of protection. So for example, to clarify what is like circumstances in national treatment clause, or to clarify what is the standard of fair and equitable treatment standard in investment treaties, or to clarify what is indirect expropriation in investment treaties. And there's also reforms towards the procedural aspects. So there's currently reform for SDS regimes under the UNCITRAL and also under ICSID. So how do we make investor states dispute settlement mechanism more responsible for environmental protection and preserve more right to regulate under this system? So this is another important improvement that needs to be made.
I have a follow-up question to that. How do you think, given your experience and research in this area, international investment law could accommodate social concerns that are also, of course, reflected in the Sustainable Development Goal, such as health, for example?
So there are recent investment arbitration cases against the tobacco regulation by the host countries. So, for example, there's a recent case between Philip Morris versus Uruguay and also Philip Morris versus Australia about the tobacco control regulation adopted by Uruguay and Australia. This has caused criticisms against the legitimacy of international investment law, especially investment arbitration, on whether those mechanisms have been leveraged or used by foreign investors against public interest regulations such as tobacco control.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Zhu, for your insight. Here is my question. So what do you think is the most pressing challenges that is facing the current international investment system?
I think the most pressing challenge is the legitimacy crisis of international investment law. So how do we reform this legal regime to strike a balance between host states' public interest and the foreign investors' economic interest? So this means we need to reform the investment treaties to make them more balanced in terms of the balance between the host countries' public interest and the foreign investors' investments interest. And also we need to think about a future reform agenda towards the ISDS regime. So in the future, foreign investment disputes still exist. If ISDS has problems for dealing with those disputes, how should we reform the existing regime? And is there any alternative to solve those disputes in the future? So I suppose that is a big challenge for the current and next generation. But because we only have a very short window opportunity for climate regulation, I think this challenge must be solved as soon as possible.
Thank you so much.
So one final question, the biggest question: is climate change changing international investment law? Or is international investment law getting in the way of fighting climate change?
I think there are both sides of the same coin. First is that international investment law, if it's drafted not in a climate friendly way, actually it can deter climate regulation. So the current scholarship has argued that there exists a chilling effect. So this means the international investment law can be used to chill the climate regulation by host countries. But on the other hand, if we can design investment treaties in a sustainable way to promote sustainable investments, international investment law actually can be a powerful mechanism to promote sustainable investment or climate investment. So the question would be how to design a new generation of investment treaties. What should be the form of those investment treaties, and how to harmonize different countries' national interests to promote climate action.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much to the entire group that has joined us today, and especially to you for your excellent answers. I know that for our learners who are online, you've given us some very interesting insights to consider as we continue this course.